So, good afternoon, Internet. I hope you are doing fine. This is Nephente of NETHERBIRD, RIKET, and whatnot, broadcasting yet again a Monday from Stockholm. And it is the 27th of July, marking approximately 4 months of online streaming. Sort of corona side effect, I suppose you could say. It happens to, a fluke ID, like it was for me. Broadcasting like this has turned into something that I feel pretty passionate about, actually, and it's thanks to you, people who are watching it live, and the bigger audience that watch it after the streams. So, I mean, you can always, as an artist, ponder whether you do stuff for yourself or someone else. And I guess in truth, the answer for me is somewhere in between. I of course find great joy in spreading the word about music and this art form that I'm passionate about since many, many years. But I'm no island, at least not the proverbial sense. So feedback, reactions, what the fucks, of course, matters a great deal, especially in such a naked format as I've decided to do these casts. So feedback is always greatly appreciated. And you can write something in the chat here, and I will do my best to monitor that. Or you can, as some people do, message me or email me with thoughts, ideas, questions that you are pondering, and the such stuff. The idea that I have is, some of you know who's been around here for some time, is to broadcast and to take my time to vent things, ponder things, and also to bring a guest on, which is always people that I like or I think are doing remarkable things. And there is no shortage of such people, and I'm fortunate enough to know some and getting to know some. So there is a fair number of people whom you will be acquainted with during the months to come. And I've been thinking about one topic, and I actually been thinking about it since I posted, because Sebastian from Necrophobic posted a playthrough of a song. And I was like, fuck, is this a classic or not? I was like, yeah, either this is a classic or it will be a classic. And somebody's like, yeah, but it's from 2006. It's already a classic. And then, like, yeah, but is it really? How old must something be to be classic? 2006, that would make it 14 years. That's a little bit too new to be classic to me, but then again, I'm old, so perspectives shift. I think it's an open-ended thing, how old something is to be classic, but it must at least stand the test of time and the test of whatever trends, changes, and especially your own crooks in the path of life. If something sticks by you through at least for me, I'd say 2 decades, then certainly it's a classic. Can be that before that also. If anybody has a suggestion on how old something must be to be a classic, then let me know. But I think 2 decades or 25 years. If it survives that long, then definitely it's a classic. But maybe it could be, like a neoclassic. But certainly bands can be classic bands and still be relevant. And some bands are classic and no longer relevant, yet still active. This is something I experience now and then is that I see heroes of old reuniting, and that is normally, to me, I mean, fine. I understand also why you reunite rather than do something new, and that is because it's fucking hard to do something new and to reach out. And whether you want to reach out or not, I mean, it's open-ended in the sense that reaching out means, you know, at least if you had a band, say you had At the Gates, then you do something new, say The Haunted, and you realize that the previous band has an audience that you have a hard time getting close to even. Then, of course, at some point, I mean, it's only human to ponder whether you should also try to do the old stuff again. And sometimes I think that works really well. Especially when you reunite or you get back together and you do live gigs, then it can be extremely powerful. I was perving on At the Gates when they did their reunited tour in quite some years ago now. I think I saw them 8 times, and 2 of those times were in New York. So I was fanboying to the level where Thomas, the singer, his wife thought I was some fucking pervert. But I happened to know at least the drummer quite well. So, I mean, I was around to, hang out with him. But so I was pretty fucking ecstatic about them reuniting because that felt really relevant. And I didn't see them back in the day when they were around. But not every band that reunites can really spark the old times that way and still be relevant. I am not the person to point fingers at people who I don't think really, make worthwhile stuff, because that's not really my thing. But not every band can do what At the Gates did, and that is to get together, be relevant, and deliver something that is, mind-blowing. To me, to date, the most compelling live gig that I've been to was at one of those New York gigs with At the Gates, when the entire crowd knew every word of every song. And I'm standing there with a friend, and we're both Swedish, we're both metalheads, and we are nowhere near as in tune as the rest of the crowd with this band from Sweden. And that, to me, that was a very humbling feeling, and a very proud moment also. And Mel, I'm doing good, thank you. And I happen to know that you were at those gigs in New York as well, at least one of them, because that's the first time we met. But some bands have the capacity to still do relevant stuff way into their career. And some bands will always be in the shadow of their early attempts. Exactly, we met At the Gates. That was incredible, to say the least. I was fanboying. Well, I tried to behave, but I had goosebumps and stuff, which is, to me, still how it should be. But in any case, some bands have the capacity to keep on doing stuff that feels vibrant. And that leads me into where I started out, because I was mentioning Necrophobic. And I really like what they just put out, actually. It's a New Century Media track. And I guess most of you have already seen it. But I think I want to play it to those of you who might have missed out. So let's see if this multimedia thingy will let me. So that was fun. Less fun is that the copyright stuff exploded in my face, which makes currently the Facebook stream down. And that is what happens when you party naked. I will just restart, and we'll see if we can get it going again. that's how you know that stuff explodes in your face. And this is the modern times. I'm going to talk about that in detail next week. But in any case, we should be back online, and hopefully most people will be able to find the stream. Otherwise, you'll find it afterwards in an edited version without the music. But before that, and it's always, since I don't have 10 producers and 5 other people, who fix everything for me, I have to sort of copy and paste it myself. But it was the first time actually that this sort of ban just happened. But we'll see if I can be able to stay clear of it now. But where was I? Yeah, I was saying something about Necrophobic, because this is a band who's been doing their stuff for 31 years. And I know there are opinions about whenever you make a video, it's susceptible to discussions, whether it's too rock and roll or whatever. But to me, I think the most timeless way you can make a video still is by a band playing, because at somehow I find that to be relevant. Even when I found a video, say by Golden Earring, which is like a old favorite band of mine, when I find stuff that they did in the 60s, yeah, I can see it's old and dated and shit, but still, to me, it's interesting to see how a rock band performed in those days. And to me, that will never get old. Whereas if you make a contemporary video, story, whatever, that will look extremely dated in comparison, I think. But of course, if you have huge productions, if you do 18 in Life or you do November Rain, whatever, it can still, be something remarkable and people will watch it. But I sometimes think that this music is still, should be some sort of honest Memphis hip shake. It's still somehow it's sped up rock and roll. To me, doesn't mean that it needs to be spandex, not at all. But you can never really go wrong if you're a band playing. To me, at least, that's the better choice. But I also seen some recent comments where people said, yeah, but lyric videos suck. Lyric videos are cheap, and you should do like proper videos. And I think, I'm not sure. First off, I don't agree. I think lyric videos can be much better than nothing. Or if you have like a piece of lyrics that's very essential, then it can, in the right hands, be done pretty nicely. And it's much more viable to make a lyric video because it's cheaper. And to be honest, there is not huge production budgets other than what the band themselves can muster these days. And that's our fault, because we don't buy enough albums, we don't buy enough merchandise in order to make bands have the means to make huge videos or great videos, because a great video will cost money. And I don't think there is a band out there who wouldn't like to make a video really great once they do it. But then you're in the in this awful dilemma of your vision and your budget, and finding someone who can pull it off, and there will always be some sort of compromise in that, and that compromise is sometimes lyric video better than nothing. But not all bands do lyric videos or videos at all. We'll talk about that a bit later. I've done videos that I'm not happy about at all, but I would say they were maybe the best we could envision or afford at the time. But there is like a million ideas that I have for what could be potentially fantastic videos, but they are always, in this caught in this deceitful problem of, making it a reality. And also because these days a video will not be on MTV, and hence it's hard to say, okay, so if we do this video, there will be enough people out there who will see this video and then rush off and buy a CD. That logic of the business is no longer there. It was never really there for extreme metal, but still, you could say, okay, if we get it on MTV, we'll have this impact, and that makes it worth this money. Instead, now you take your hard-earned money and you put it into a video, and then you put it out on YouTube, and you hope for the best. And if you're unlucky, you get 2,000 views. 2,000 views monetarily is not nothing. I mean, you don't get a cent from YouTube for that. But it might be other values. You profile your band, or you express an opinion, or something that you feel is important still. And then the video can still be worth it. But I mean, it's always a cost there. And there is this trade-off. If you take an album production, I've paid, NETHERBIRD, we paid, or someone paid money, the equivalent of, say, maybe between 5,000 and 10,000 euros. That's the production for an album. That is what the album costs to record and produce and get it out there. And a video, it's hard to make a video of any level beneath the cost of 2,000 euros. I would say you need 5,000 euros in order to make something worthwhile. And then you're like, should I do 2 videos or an album? And the answer is pretty clear there. But some videos are just fucking awful. And some lyric videos are awful also, because some lyrics just don't speak to you. And you could be better off if you didn't hear or see exactly what the song is about, because it can actually, if you're like a lyric-oriented person like me, that can become, maybe even detrimental. But it depends. But I would say that every band does the very best they can in order to get their word out there, their vision out there. But I like the fact that Necrophobic went, really like a retro band playing and setting. Could have been, a 90s hard rock video. So I think that is pretty cool. But I mean, it's up for debate. But then again, every band makes their own decisions, and I mean, I'm not here to review videos. I'm just putting out my thoughts there. It's good to see that the visitors have picked up again. You're all quite welcome, and I've learned my lesson not to play more than snippets of songs, even though I fucking hate that, because sometimes I think talking about the band and not being able to really play them sucks. But then again, copyright holders are sensitive. Before I bring on the guest, who hopefully hasn't left in disgust, I can see that he's still here. I will just mention a little bit, because I was talking about various platforms, and this is how I stream today. There is a Nephente there. Who's this person sitting somewhere in a secret location in the NETHERBIRD headquarters of Stockholm, sending. As you can see from my extremely advanced graphics here, I do a stream, and then I funnel it to two locations. One of them being YouTube, which do not cut streams with music, and then the other one is Facebook, who occasionally do, and that happened now. And then on YouTube, there is this Nephente Talk channel, and that stream will always be there, even if stuff happens. That one is there, so that is sort of the go-to stream, I would say, and also maybe the most stable chat is there. But then again, most people that I know are not there, so I also send it to the Nephente profile page through Facebook. And this is well and fine. But my goal is to make my streams, and especially the music that I try to promote with various results, as you can tell today, reach as many people as possible. And I'm a huge, a believer in the underground. And I think underground is the beauty is that we do not really, we don't want to build empires and stuff. Rather, we can spread the word through different outlets who knows their local audience. So what I'm gonna do from next week, actually, is this. I'm gonna stream using a different platform, which makes it possible on Facebook for me to cross-post the stream to more pages. That means it can be on, my page as usual, but also I will push it to the NETHERBIRD page. There will be a Swedish metal website called swedishmetal.nu, a Bulgarian metal page called Metal Hanger 18, and I'm also in talk with a few more. And the idea is that I don't want to build a huge page or huge viewer numbers or anything like that. Not important to me. Rather, I would like these suggestions and the stuff that I put up here to reach people where they are normally, and that is via Facebook pages where they already find reviews or some local connection there, and then it means that they can get a little bit more content, like these streams, and of course that's free of charge, and it also means that the guests I bring on will meet a bigger audience through various local outlets. So if you are adminning a metal-oriented page, which is not in Sweden or Bulgaria, but any other place, and you think you want these streams, let me know and I'll hook you up, because the idea is that the more underground we can go, the better. And then the backup, whenever Facebook kicks me out for breaching whatever, then you know that it will also stream on YouTube. Well, it's interesting to be your own clown, which I was by getting cut off. But we live and we learn. And I've seen here in the chat that there are also some different opinions about that highlighting the lyrics in videos can be one way. Also, another way is to use closed captions or the lyrics at the bottom of it. And I cannot play you an example, but my friends in Wormwood did a lyric video, which is basically just like a movie without any participants from the band. Well, actually, there is one, but you have to look for him. And then there is like subtitling, but it's the lyrics in Swedish and in English. Really beautiful. I will link it in the event afterwards, so you can check it out. So yeah, there are various ways of making videos that make sense if you decide to go for videos. But now I have a guest, and he's been patient with me, so I'll bring him on, and it's DJ from Misþyrming, and hopefully I can also make this work. Hey man.
Hey då.
How are you?
I am pretty fantastic, actually.
That's good.
Yeah.
You saw the challenges I was facing here. It's beautiful when you try to share music and you get booted from Facebook, but yeah, that happens.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. This is, of course, there are valid reasons for why they do this, but I guess we are unlucky in this case because you are doing an honest promotion of said artist, and you're not making any money, like you said yourself. So if it was not a bot determining it, then it would probably be different.
Yeah, exactly. And you're completely right. It is a bot. This one, it's Warner Bros. Who there are different levels of how aggressive the bots are, and this happened to be Warner copyright control. I was informed,
Yeah.
and at the same time, I mean, this is what happens because this is underground music. We used to promote it, being very enthusiastic about stuff, but we are using these international platforms, and then it's their rules and regulations. So this is just how it is. But I will now, first off, very warmly welcome. And you're the founder, and you are the frontman of Misþyrming. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
More or less.
It's the Swedish one.
We always put emphasis on the first vowel.
Misþyrming.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
for every word in Icelandic.
And I would say arguably one of the strongest forces in the Icelandic underground scene right now. And you guys are almost on top of every list when you start to dig into the Icelandic, metal phenomena. You guys are up there.
Yeah.
So congrats on that.
Thank you.
If we start, with the basics, how are you doing during this pandemic? Just for the listeners.
Well, to begin with, the uncertainty of everything was a bit overwhelming. It was disappointing to have all the shows postponed or cancelled, but fortunately most of them were postponed. The only show that we literally had to cancel was Steelfest.
Yeah.
And that's only because of a clash with another postponing, which was our tour with Revenge, Profanatica, and Ultra Sylvan from Sweden.
Yeah, really cool band, by the way.
Yeah, I love them. I'm very happy that they're on board on that tour.
That's one of these really fierce, very, I don't know how to say, but very unfiltered and very, I think, to the true sense bands actually to rise in recent years.
Yes, extremely exciting band. Fresh and traditional at the same time.
Exactly. And I'm kind of, because I have to say, I am very curious about the Icelandic scene and this might be because the Swedish or Scandinavian scene, like the Scandinavian in the sense Sweden, Norway, in the very early 90s there were a few bands who rose, and underneath them came a flood of talent, and it seems like it's the same case in Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
But why do you think that is? When did this start? Has it always been like this, just that nobody paid attention, or is it something that's been happening in recent years?
Well, there's an obvious explosion during the last decade. There was less fuss about the Icelandic scene before that.
Mm.
And the mark of that boom was Svartidauði, their debut album, Flesh Cathedral.
Mm.
I've been asked about this many times in interviews, and I always I don't have a ready answer for that. I always let it be for the historians.
Yeah, it's hard to say when you're in the middle of it, because I think it's the same if you ask all of us who were in the Swedish scene. It just happened, and it's like asking a fish what it thinks about the water. It just is all of a sudden. But we had a few studios that I think were very important, and also we had a few bands that rose, some studios that were affordable, and then we had media and record label interest. Are there any studios that are prolific in the Icelandic scene? Or is that not so important anymore? Maybe you don't need a studio to be able to execute something interesting music-wise.
Well, Stephen Lockhart, the Irish guy who's been living here in Iceland for more than a decade, he's the man behind Rebirth of Nepheste. and he's the host of Ascension Festival, previously known as Oration. He has his studio, and then it's me. Like, I think the two of us are like the two guys who are producing black metal in Iceland.
Yeah.
Probably a few exceptions, but like if you look at, like, I don't know, top 20 releases during the last decade, it's mostly him, and the rest could be me.
Yeah, because it boils down to a few people. In Sweden, we had, you know, Thomas Skogsberg and the Sunlight. You have Fredrik with Fredman, and then you have Peter with Abyss. That's three people who basically, and of course Unisound with Don Swanee. So four people for the entire scene. That's and I mean, having two prolific people in a smaller population should be more than enough, I guess.
Sure.
But I mean, I went to Inferno, or actually we played at Inferno, and there was this evening at John D with only Icelandic bands. That's the first time I saw Odin, who blew me away.
You saw who?
Odin.
Odin, yeah.
Odin.
Yeah, sorry. Nobody's able to pronounce that band, yeah.
No, and they don't need it, because I was standing there, it's like, nah, okay, let's see. Because I know Gunnar Sauerman, you know, the Metal Hammer guy, always very enthusiastic about the Icelandic scene. And he's like, yeah, you need to see these guys. And from the first chord, they fucking blew everyone away. It was just immense. And it just kept on going. You had Icelandic bands on a level which is fucking incredible. To be honest, for me as a you know, an outsider, I was like, what the hell is in the water in Iceland? But something is brewing, and there's this combination, I think, of some successful bands and some people who are catalysts, like you.
Yeah, well, I think that a scene sparks from, like, there has to be a spark, like a couple of bands, even just one band that inspires others to do the same. Like, from my own experience, that was Svartidauði, that they were maybe not my introduction to black metal, but they were the first band I saw at a live show where I really understood what it's all about.
Yeah. How old were you then? I'm just curious.
17, I guess.
Because I remember vividly the first time I saw a band play double bass drums and really, you know, utilizing that. That was in 1990, I think. I'm old as fuck. And those guys, they were not like Europe or these huge bands. It was like a great band, but they were still within my reach. I could relate to them, and that was inspiring. That's why I started to play. Because
when it's not too far away.
Exactly. And I think when you have a few, and now, I mean, any kid in Iceland only has to fucking Google it to see, okay, so I'm part of this phenomena now, where they are like band after band after band who are not just doing good stuff, but are innovating and really, you know, putting a mark on the international scene. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, Reykjavik is pretty small on a like universal scale. So we only have like one main metal bar. So that's where everybody goes. So we are like, it's not like we are separated from the fans or or the guys who go to gigs. We when we go out for a beer, we see everybody.
Yeah.
So it feels like we're on a more even level.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that in Sweden that's the case also. I mean, there is. I mean, everybody is in a band, and you know, it gives a certain vibe. Because I know I have friends who moved to Sweden from the US, and there it was like unheard of to even meet a band. But I mean, in Stockholm, you can't avoid it. They're everywhere, especially if you're in a metal bar. That it's only band members there, basically.
Yeah.
But how is the scene in Iceland? Do you also have, were you invaded by the cafe latte hipsters, or has the scene stayed more, free of that?
Well, I remember when we released our first album in 2015, we got a lot of coverage in a tourist magazine that I think is pretty like left biased, pretty hipster.
Mm-hmm.
And they just loved us. So yeah, we got some hipsters kind of people coming to the shows, but like I said, it's such a small city that like punk kids go to industrial shows, metal kids go to punk shows, and like everybody goes to every show because it's pretty rare that like gigs never clash. We have so few venues that there are rarely two gigs happening at the same night. So if you frequent gigs, there's not, you just check everything.
you have no choice, basically.
Yeah.
I've seen in Stockholm there've been a few incidents where this extremely hipstery crowd sort of got problems with the reality of the black metal scene. It's just,
yes, the problematic black metal scene.
Yeah, it should. It's you can't expect anything but controversy. But yeah, and in any case, but I see less and less of that because I think they are. First off, I think the hipsters are doing something else. I don't see them anymore, and I think they lost interest because if you don't go to the core of the music that we burn for, then you will never really get it. That's my honest opinion.
Yes, and I think you sort of need to relate to it to enjoy it.
I think so, and it doesn't matter if you bought, the first printing of the Yellow Goat album. If that's what you got, then you will never get it anyway, and you will lose interest. I think in the longer run. I think so.
I like my pressing of De Mysterium Satanas is probably 10th pressing.
Yeah. And still you get it. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's mostly for listening to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird that it actually works even on the 10th pressing, which is most likely better anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah. But to me, age is pretty irrelevant when it comes to these things. But still, you're a newer generation than me. And Quorthon of Bathory once said that every generation needs to kill the gods of the old generation in order to thrive. Have you felt a need to kill any of those gods? Maybe one of these gods that you seem to not like is putting labels on everything, sub-genre labels. I've been researching you. You don't seem to like post black metal as a label. No. So maybe that's your take on this, that we need to stop worrying so much about putting labels on shit and listen instead, maybe.
Absolutely.
Because what labels are, to me, they're a bit alien. Because when I started out, we were of course aware that some bands were labeled black metal and some were death metal, but we didn't really know that we had to make a distinction because it was still extreme metal, and I never really. So I don't even know what is post black metal or what is black metal, because it makes no sense to me.
I was very surprised when I heard people calling Behemoth death metal.
For instance,
then I heard like their album Soskia Cultus is morbid angel worship.
Yeah.
But then they have all the aesthetics of black metal. So like this is where you start asking questions. Is it death metal? Is it black metal? But my conclusion is, does it matter?
Does it really matter? Yeah. if it talks to you and if it does anything for you, I guess it absolutely doesn't matter. But it might matter if you're a very afraid person who actually you're just afraid to listen to the wrong band. Then maybe it can help you, then I think you have a problem anyway, right? But
I don't know.
Because and like I said, I've perved a little bit on previous interviews you've done, and you were interviewed by Bardo, which is always, you know, the best fucking place to go. If Niklas has made an interview, there is stuff to be found.
Yes, very in depth.
Yeah, one of a kind. One of the best people in the scene when it comes to, you know, intellectual clear sight. Fucking hell.
Yeah, and he's a fucking awesome person.
Awesome person, awesome, not only interviewer, but also observer. And the fact that he can challenge you, not only interview you, he can also sometimes, you know, even go against what people and, you know, ask them really, I mean, what do you actually mean? And I think that is a strength in him. He's not afraid to also be a bit demanding.
Yeah, challenge the opinions.
Exactly. And that's why his interviews are great. But what I could tell from that interview is that your idea still about your band is you see it as a rock and roll sort of entity, right? That in the sense that you are making something that is honest and based on, you know, the classic setting of instruments.
Yes, I wouldn't want to conform to a template such as black metal may be. Like people have said that the old Norwegian bands, like, they laid out the ground, they made the format, and then the rest followed. I think it's okay up to a certain extent, as long as you don't just conform to somebody else's ideology. Like, it's okay to be heavily inspired, but if you don't bring anything new to the table, I'm not sure why you should bother.
What do you think you bring to the table? I mean, besides, I mean, every artist is unique in their own expression. But what do you think is the most vital part that you are bringing to the extreme metal with, I mean, your creation, your band? Because I mean, you spend endless hours doing this.
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I'm mostly doing it for myself. When I'm heavily inspired by music that I like, I can feel this fire within, and being a person that plays the instrument, like, I think that what the music brings to me, what other music brings to me, I would like to channel this emotion over to others, if I can, and even to myself. Like, if I hear a good riff, I'm like, oh, it must be so fucking fun to play this and to record this, perform this. Maybe I could do the same. And Funeral Mist, for instance, was one of I think it was a pretty revolutionary band for me, because I heard, this is how it's done. Like, I was already familiar with black metal and all that, but this is when it reached a point for me when I felt so incredibly ablaze just by listening. It was so stimulating. And the same goes for playing music. So yeah, that's pretty much what I strive for, to to burst out, you know, have some catharsis with the instrument.
Exactly.
And if somebody else is going to enjoy that.
Yeah. Because I think catharsis is a great word for what I experience when I listen to your music, and also Funeral Mist. It's very, how to say it? It's limitless in the sense that every composition can go any way. It's sort of organic, I think. There is structure, of course, and always, you know, you have the chromatic scale and stuff like that. But still, it's a little bit like it's an almost unleashed chaos in a way that it feels like it's a force of nature conjured when you listen to it. It's not so nicely, neatly put into place to become, you know, the classic rock song or whatever. So a composition can, and it can be quite different between two songs on the same album. There can be very different structures. So I understand the similarities, or the base template is sort of it's reminiscent, I would say.
Yeah, I really enjoy it when you can you feel some chaos. You want to grasp what you are experiencing, but you can't do it right away. So you have to listen again. You want to know everything that the drummer is doing, and it's too fast. It's too much information. Then you get crazy vocals on top of it, and like you kind of lose control, and that's fun.
It's great fun, but it's also a great challenge.
Right.
and I know that you have stolen from the same interview. I'm sorry, but I mean, if you find the best interview, why bother? I mean, I know that you have some formal music training also. You started out on piano, right?
Yes.
Can you tell a little bit, because I actually think it explains a lot. When you listen to the music, you understand you come from a slightly different angle, I think, and you just explained a little bit why that is. But how did this happen? Can you? Is it okay to tell a little bit about it?
Yeah. I can give you a brief story. My mother is a music admirer. She was never a professional or anything, but she's been in choirs, and she got this guitar when she was 14.
That's cool.
Yeah. But she wanted to learn the piano, so she didn't really bother with the guitar. So when I was 6 years old, she made me start the piano, not the guitar. And then I made the decision myself to move over to the guitar, because I was learning mostly very cheesy music like Mozart and stuff. And like there's a lot of fantastic classical music out there, obviously, but I was absolutely not into Mozart, like gay music in the literal sense of the word, like overly happy, and that was not for me. And at the same time, I was starting to listen to Rammstein, so my focus was pretty far from the piano. But what I learned from the piano was invaluable. Just learning how the chromatic scale works and chords and all that. And later on, I was in choirs. I was in 2 choirs between age 10 and 20.
That's cool. Also, I mean, what an asset to bring to the table, where most of us extreme metal vocalists are. We have never really developed that part of our voice spectra. I did it much later, and it's always been like a handicap for me, I have to say, because it's made me feel weak compared to other vocalists who can sing properly.
Well, I think it's pretty easy to adapt, but many vocalists, they have just learned it on their own. That's kind of the beauty with music. You don't have to be formally educated to understand it, as long as you are passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that James Hetfield had a very long progression of his vocal technique. You can hear a huge difference between Kill 'Em All and Master of Puppets.
Yes.
And it wasn't until after the Black Album, when he blew out his vocal cords, that he did some training.
Yeah.
And that's for the first time when he started warming up before shows.
Yeah. And that is for a musician who's been touring with, Guns N' Roses. So you can come to that level without any, classical training. That speaks a lot about the power of music. I totally agree with you. And there is this. I mean, you mentioned it, but honesty, to me, as long as you're honest in the music you make, it will always shine through. And you can never fool people, even with the best productions, the best musicians. If it's not honest, I think you can tell. To me, it's at least. I have this strong sense of when I'm being fooled. When people are, trying to sell me something they not truly believe in, I tend to get a bad, taste in my mouth. I don't know if
this is what's very interesting about black metal, because black metal has totally different standards on production from any other genre, like generally speaking.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize that the actual spirit, the content that's being put out, it has nothing to do with clarity of the microphone or whatever. Like sometimes people tell me after a Misþyrming show, it was an awesome show, but the sound sucked.
Okay.
So the sound didn't really ruin, even if it was a bad sounding show. Like there's something deeper that matters.
Yep. Much deeper.
Darkthrone is the best example.
Yeah.
Like degrading their sound qualities with each album in the mid-90s on purpose, and those are the most remarkable records.
Yeah. Even I would say, if you gave them crystal clear production, they would lose their value, because there is something there in the combination of production or lack of production and the honesty, which I think you would kill if you would bring it up in Pro Tools and you would cue everything up perfectly, and then I think it would ruin every Burzum song for me if it was crystal clear production. I think, on the contrary, it's like watching an old horror movie on VHS. I don't think you had to do that, but it became even more frightening because, the fucking bad quality. It's dirty, it's gritty, and it feels more genuine. So there is really something there, and it's also interesting that you say that people say, it was shitty sound, but what is even that? What are they looking for? Clarity in the bass drums? Or I never will understand, because if they get a good feeling from it, it was perfect sound. But yeah.
Well, maybe it's also the visual stimulation. If there's fierce aggression on stage, passion, all that, maybe you can look away from the details of the sound. But if you have a mediocre band, a good sound is really going to help.
True enough.
Yeah, but I totally understand. I've been to shows where the sound is bad and it kind of like it's like a turn off.
I guess it depends on which music style it is, and yeah, I mean there are venues in Stockholm which I really dislike just because it's just too much bass in the sound or whatever, and I mean that will kill every gig if it's not Sun playing. Then I mean basically, so, but to me, I think if you're a genuinely good band, sound will always be sort of your friend, because if you're like a tight band and the chemistry is there, you will always win over the sound barrier, I think. And that will always make you, if you can do that, you can play small stages. And if you can play, a small club and make it that vital, then the big festival stage with a great sound will never be a challenge.
Yes. But the smaller venues are much better because you get the intimacy, and that's what makes it a good show. We played at Hellfest, and that's like the least intimate show I've ever done.
Yeah.
Of course, it matters to me how my experience is. Like, I'm not doing the crowd a favor. I'm also playing for myself. It's not only entertainment.
No,
so
I mean,
if there's like the barricades, you call it that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they are 3 meters away from me, and that's the front line, like I couldn't even give a person high five if I wanted to. Like, that's it lacks something. I want to see people's sweat pouring down and feel close to them, get eye contact.
This is why I am 100% with you. I mean, no band will ever turn down to play Hellfest or whatever, because I mean, our egos will always say, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it and meet all these people. But I think if I would have to choose, I mean, 200 people ecstatic that are in the same room and you can almost feel the violence in the air. To me, that's always going to make more sense, because also there we sell something when we go. I mean, when you take black metal, the most extreme form of extreme metal, and we put it on bigger stages, then we have to play by their rules also, and that makes it, it becomes entertainment in a sense, because we're up there to perform and to entertain the masses. Maybe not even the crowd there is 100% into what we do, but when you're in a club with 200 people, then every fucking person there cares, and there's something there that is different, I think. But I would never say no to a big gig either. I wouldn't, but we trade something there, and something happens.
Yeah, and also on those bigger venues or festivals, they usually have sound limit, a volume limit.
Yep.
Which, well, it depends on how low it should be, but usually it's kind of, it can kill the mood, but that's much rarer in the smaller venues. I've seen Marduk 3 times, twice at huge festivals, and 1 time at Beyond the Gates 2015, Bergen, and it was in the garage basement. Like, you go downstairs into a basement and the ceiling is 2 meters, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was so much in your face, and it was so loud and so painful and chaotic. That was definitely by far the best out of those 3 shows.
Because I think there is something there in the electricity in the air in such a venue, and between people who are so into this and bands also returning to where they came from, because every band comes from that environment, and something happens there that I think is unique. And that is also, I don't know what you guys have been thinking about these live streams, but to me, I don't, because I don't want to try to reproduce our music on a live stream, because to me everything that I love about the live performance is missing. But I understand that bands do it, because I mean, you got to do something, right?
Yes, I would never say that it replaces the experience of going to a show, but it's just something for while we wait, because all of us are waiting right now.
We are, and the fans are waiting. And I mean, on one of the very early streams we spoke. There was entire NETHERBIRD was there, and a lot of fans or whatever. We said that we're never going to do live streams, and people got really pissed off, because there's like, yeah, but I mean, come on, you need to think about us. I mean, we would rather do that, but I know.
Well, we did one live stream
from Latvia, right?
It was Tallinn,
Estonia.
Yeah, it was a tour that happened in March, right when shit was hitting the fan. I think it was 6 shows in a week, starting in Europe, like Ukraine and Vilnius, Latvia, or Lithuania. Then we went to Russia, and every country we played in closed their borders the day after we played. And Estonia was the last show on that tour, which was pretty fortunate, because they were the only country that had closed off for gatherings, closed down. And our hosts in that city, they were so nice that they just booked a whole crew with cameras and sound and all that, and just arranged a makeup, because we already conformed to doing the show, and yeah, it would have been some money lost if we would have done nothing. But we did the stream, and it had some I don't know, donation thing, so our hosts were able to pay up what they spent on logistics, and it was a pretty nice experience. And there were like 15 people there, and that mattered a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Those 15 people, they had their fists up in the air the whole time, and they gave us a little bit back from what we were giving. So yeah, that was a fantastic experience.
And I mean, that makes sense. And the thing is that as an artist, you're like a vampire. You feed off the crowd. At least I do. I'm not
during your time on the stage, for sure.
Yeah, because without it, I'd feel weird. I can still do it, I guess, but it would be completely different than to stand there where things are happening in right that second. The heartbeat of each audience member and myself, it's unique. It's once in a lifetime. That never happens again. And to fake that, or to try to do that in front of a camera only, that would be difficult. But if you have 15 people there, that's 15 people who care.
We even did an encore, only because of one.
Yeah, but I mean,
more. So fuck it, okay.
Yeah, but it's and that is what it's all about. In the end, I mean, that shared passion, and that is the sole purpose of it. I think in the end, I mean, you can always intellectually find various reasons why we do it, but it's to me at least, I'm an audience vampire. I do it, and I feed off the energy in the room. I never played this biggest festival, so I have no idea what that means. But I think I would feel bloodlet there, because you're so far away, and my experience is that it's easier and easier the bigger the crowd is, because it becomes less personal, but also it becomes less rewarding. I think
it's painful to play in front of a sleepy crowd. It's very painful.
It's actually it's quite. I don't know what to say. Painful, and sometimes it's even it's humiliating in a way, because I am able to do whatever if people give a fuck. But if I'm there and I'm entertainment and they're there for whatever reason, then I can't understand what am I doing here, and what is my art if it doesn't mean anything. Then it's tough. But I mean, everybody experiences it at some point. But that is, it's always a low mark. I rather play for few people who give a fuck, and that's why I love the van tours. In the ass of the world, because people give a fuck when you show up.
Yeah, those 80 people are there, and they are willing.
Yeah. And they will remember you. Being, some entertainment, that people are there for various reasons, to drink beer and see whatever band, and you just happen to play on a stage. It gives nothing to no one. To me, that's how I feel about it.
It's fun that sometimes people that don't know about you decide to check it out, and if you do a good job, you can turn them over, change their mood.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes, this is why there are no guarantees when you go live. I mean, anything can happen. And so you take a chance and you sort of jump into the water. You don't know how warm it is. You don't know how deep it is, but you're still going to, make it count. And there's always a risk there. Every night is a risk in one way.
Yeah, for sure. And I've thought about this when I'm playing the drums. Like I'm not a good drummer, but I do it for fun. And I think like a drummer keeps the beat, he holds the band together. And for me, it's always been, I've seen it from an outsider's perspective, because I always have somebody else playing the drums.
Mm-hmm.
But when I sit at the drum kit myself, I'm like, oh, if I go off beat or something, it's like, it feels like a lot of responsibility. And that's the same when you're going on stage. Like my mindset is that I am going all in, otherwise I shouldn't be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And keep it rolling as long as it lasts.
Definitely. And I mean, you've been doing this for some time now. Where do you see yourself and the band progressing from here? Short-term goals for the year, we don't know anything about this year, but a little bit longer, where do you see this is going?
I was thinking about something similar to this while you were ranting alone.
Yeah.
I think like you were talking about bands staying relevant, or bands having a comeback and still being fresh. Like I think that as long as you strive for being above average, like you're not settling with mediocrity, like that's the mindset that will keep you going. And some bands change, like they start off with a lot of passion, they want to make music, and then those priorities change when you start doing shows and you become famous, and you realize, okay, maybe if I do if I'm writing a new song, I will make a segment where everybody can go, hey.
Yeah, you can hear them write that into the
And like if you're starting to think like that, I think that's bad. So I think as long as you're striving for, I don't know, outdoing whatever you've been doing before, not like having a formula ready and just keep on that track, just stay there and let's see how long it rolls. And there are many bands that manage to do that. I think that Marduk is a good example.
Yeah, great example, I have to say. Yeah.
If you look at every album by Behemoth, most of them are pretty great. But you can see, if you compare them, that every album is a step up.
Yeah.
So if you strive for that, not settling, and that's pretty much what I'm doing. Like I don't want to write a song that's basic, pretty good enough. I want something that's challenging. I've been writing a lot since COVID started, and some ideas are scrapped, some ideas stay, and I am satisfied when I can feel this excitement.
And I
make a little demo and I listen to it 10 times in a row. Like, yes, I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I know that feeling, because I've been doing music for a long time, and sometimes I have to admit I lose my passion for it, but I only have to go to the rehearsal room with my band or listen to a demo for the next album to realize why I'm still doing this. Because the reason why I lose my passion has nothing to do with the music or the band or the scene. It has to do with, the industry or all of that other shit around it, which takes so much time and focus from what I really want to do, which is
such as writing emails.
Yes.
That's something I never imagined I had to do when I made the band. Like, fuck, so many fucking emails.
I'm sorry, but yeah.
It's a chore.
It's a chore. And so many copy and paste interviews, which is like, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to answer which my influences are again. Please just Google this shit. I mean, and can't you tell? Listen to it. You can hear my influences. I mean, please ask me something, whatever.
Yes, I like Death Spell Omega. Who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's fucking pointless. But it's the same when you're touring. I mean, it's a hurry up and wait game. You have to hurry, and then wait. And I mean, yeah, it's you do that, and you have to stand those 23 hours for that 1 hour. But that hour still makes it worth it, I think.
Yes, and then the after party as well.
Yeah, sadly.
But yes, it's when you go on stage, when all the fucking shit you have to deal with becomes worth it.
Yeah. It's and as long as I can get reignited by the music I'm making or the people I'm involved with working, or actually conversating with a person like you, then I understand why I still fucking bother, because it matters so much to me that I cannot see myself not doing it. But if I feel I can no longer write an album that's better than the previous one, then I will stop doing albums. I will start doing something else, just stream or whatever. But I don't think I will ever end up there. But there are so many bands who lose it along the way. But I think
it's important to stay inspired. Don't stop listening to music.
Yeah.
And not only music, like whatever inspires you in general, whatever makes you feel alive.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me and you, I suppose that's mostly music.
Yeah, and there is not a problem in the underground, because there are so much good music all the time. I mean, there is no shortage. There's just new band after new band, and they're all fucking good, actually. So,
and the classics stay there.
Yeah, yeah, the classics. I was into that. I don't know how old an album must be to be a classic, but I have so many.
I have an answer to that.
Okay.
I got the chance to think about it while you were talking. The Icelandic word for classic is sígilt, which means ever relevant or ever authentic.
Good.
So we have the term instant classic.
Yeah.
Which sounds kind of like a paradox because you have to grow old to become classic. But things that age well,
Yeah.
they like things that stay relevant. They are what we see as classics.
Yeah. And actually, I think you can tell almost instantly when you hear something if it will stand the test of time. And for me, it's if it's an honest, if I feel honesty in it. Like first time I heard Johnny Cash cover "Hurt," I knew that I will never grow tired of that version because it's just extremely authentic.
Right from here.
Yeah, and also an old man who's about to die. You have to listen to him very intensely. And but Johnny Cash, to be honest, he made a lot of shit throughout his career. But then he did the American recordings with what is his name? Rick Rubin's.
Yeah,
the deaf American guy. Yeah.
System of a Down and
Slayer. Yeah. Danzig.
And late Metallica, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, you can fuck up. But are there? Because I'm going to wrap it up because I'm not going to keep you for the entire night. I will, however, already now warn you that I will talk hole in your head when we meet in February because you're going to do 2 gigs in Sweden. So
Yes.
Can you shortly tell about them?
It's Norrköping and Sundsvall.
Jönköping and Sundsvall. Almost
whatever, man. Oh, it's not Norrköping. That's another city.
Yeah, it's different cities.
All right. Jönköping. Okay.
Jönköping.
Yeah. We are together in Jönköping. And then we're also doing Sundsvall with Malakim.
Yep.
It's our first time in Sweden, believe it or not. Like we've been many times to Norway, we've been to Finland, we've been all around, never to Sweden.
Yeah.
I am fascinated by Swedish culture. I love Swedish metal, and yeah, I'm extremely excited to come to Sweden.
I look forward to seeing you guys live, and also, you know, for the after party, surely. But I really look forward to it. You come in a very, you know, cold part of the year because you're being in February, but I mean, it's gonna be like home.
Yeah, I'm used to that.
Yeah, because originally it was planned for May, which would have been fantastic. But yeah, we'll do the best of it.
For sure.
Also, Rika here, she tagged along for the gig in Moscow and in St. Petersburg, and yeah, says that it was quite a phenomenal ride together with you guys. The world is small.
Yeah.
And the same people I know, and you know, if you've been to Russia, you met my friends, and vice versa. It's the metal community is pretty small, which is cool in a way.
Yes, it is.
But I look forward to spending some more time with you and to finally see you guys live. So that's going to be really cool. Are there any bands that you would like to recommend? Upcoming Icelandic acts?
Yes, there's Antavald. I think it has like 8 or 9 members. Sometimes I'm with them. I produced their debut album that was released last year. Sometimes I tag along with them on shows, like for extra guitars and stuff like that. Then there is Gravir, which means graves. Mm-hmm. They made a demo in 2016, and I think they are working on a new album, which is going to be fantastic. We have a Icelandic black metal festival in December. That's called Anti-Christian Festival, Andkristni. It's been around for 20 years. It was formed by the Solstafir guys.
Yep.
And now me and the guys from Misþyrming, we are the younger guys. We have taken over, and we're planning this festival now. So we're having a 20-year anniversary, and we're bringing all our favorite Icelandic bands to the bill. And those bands I mentioned will be there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Feels like I have to revisit Reykjavik. It's been a long time, and I have some friends who moved over recently also. So I'm sorry, but I think I will grace your shores, perhaps in time for the Antichrist Festival in December. That would be pretty fucking phenomenal, actually.
Please do. I promise.
Looking forward. DG, thank you so much for taking time with this somewhat technically challenged, but still carried through stream. It's been a privilege, and I look forward to hearing more from your your creative output in the future. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you, man.
Take care. All right, guys. Always a privilege to meet fellow musicians and creators from the scene, and also there are different angles, but I think what it all boils down to is if you're authentic in what you're trying to do, you can't really go wrong, except when you try to stream copyrighted music. So I will see what I'm gonna have to cut this thing together, I think, but I will put it up without interruptions on YouTube, and I'll also revise a little bit on how I will try to present music. Not sure exactly how, but I'll figure it out. Thank you so much for joining the stream and for returning to it when it got lost. I appreciate it. I also appreciate all the comments in the chat, and I take it as you guys are just as enthusiastic about this underground scene that we all share. Please feel free to write me suggestions about bands that are, locally are very promising, because I always love to find out more music, and if it's something that speaks to me, I'll also try to bring one or two from the band into the stream, because that is how we can share and pay stuff forward. But until then, I bid thee all good night, and take care. See you around. And I will now try to outro.